Hey everyone, we're back with another video. I really want to focus on today talking about how to actually compete with yourself instead of others. I've talked about this before, how important it is to actually just compete with yourself because of the fact that your personal situation is so different from a lot of other people. The skills you have and the skills you don't have is very different. And there's just so many different factors, right, that are not the same when you see somebody else who has become successful. And as a result of that, you really have to compare with yourself because that's the only relevant person to compare with. If you keep comparing apples to oranges and you're like, man, why isn't my apple an orange? That's just not helpful, right? But if you compare yourself with yourself each day and try to make progress a little bit, you can see your own growth, and it'll also continue to motivate you because you start to see small pieces of progress and you don't get swallowed up in this huge, long jump, right? Where you see yourself at this level and you see the successful person up at this level, even though you realize that it takes 5 years, 3 years, maybe at least a year, right? So we're starting off at zero. So how do you really do this? Well, you have to be super locked in on your goals, okay? You need to be very clear about what your goals are, and you need to break them down into different levels. You need to have a huge goal, right? Big goal overall, maybe 1 year, 2 year goal, then break that down into smaller sub goals and break those down into little tiny goals that you can do each day, right? So, okay, if I know, let's say I want to go to medical school, right? And I need to study. So, okay, that's my kind of bigger goal, right? So then study, okay, how much do I need to study each day? What do I need to study? Those are the smaller sub goals. Then you can compare it with yourself super easy. Set yourself some sort of plan of what you want to do each day, right? And then track that. Just be did I do that, right? And did I grow? Did I actually do what I said I was going to do? Did I put in the work? You start to change that, and now you become very input focused, which is great because input is really the only thing you can typically control. Everyone wants to focus on the output, but the output doesn't come until you have put in a lot of input, a lot of just work. So if you can really focus on, let's say, studying a bunch, right? And focus on that, and just that's the thing that you should be comparing yourself with. You're okay, how much did I study yesterday? Can I study a little bit more today? That is the kind of comparison that's going to lead you to be successful. And it's really the healthy kind of comparison. Okay, because the unhealthy kind of comparison is me looking at myself, oh man, I'm never going to make it to medical school, right? You're I'm just not going to be successful because I don't know all of this stuff. There's so much to learn. I just can't do it. Do you notice how negative that kind of self-talk is? Do you see how it's really demotivating me? And it's with success, you might have just such a small little piece of motivation and discipline. You don't want to just extinguish it by having all this negative self-talk. So really, break down your goals into really things you can do each and every day, and then just do those and have that be how you compare with yourself. Compare with your yesterday and try to just do a little bit more than yesterday. And if you keep doing that again and again and again, you will eventually reach a point where you get very used to doing a lot of work, and you also can make a lot of progress just because you're so focused on those small steps, right? If you focus on the small steps and you just keep executing, eventually, you'll reach that point, right? If you're in a race and it's a mile-long race, you take a couple steps. If you start thinking about the end zone, you're not even gonna make it the rest of the race. But if you just focus on, okay, take a couple more steps, and just go. Eventually, if you don't think about it, you'll eventually reach that end goal, right? But if you constantly compare yourself every time you take a step, let's say I take one step, I'm okay, I still have 1 mile and one less step to go. Okay, I take a second step. Oh, I still have 98% of the mile left. Okay, take another step. Oh, I still have 97.5% of the mile left. I'm never gonna want to run that mile because I just keep comparing with how much farther I have left, and it's just so demotivating. But this is what something that people do every single day of their lives. They do a little bit on their goal and they just compare with the huge goal and compare with all these other people who are successful. And they're I'm never going to make it. Yeah, you're never going to make it if you keep approaching work in the same way, keep approaching your goals in the same way, and you keep comparing with others in the same way. You really have to break it down into small, achievable little steps that you can control and that you can ensure that you do each and every day. So now it's yesterday. Did I finish what I was supposed to do? If not, that's a moment when you should be sad. You should realize, I kind of failed in a sense. I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and this is a bad thing, right? But if you did what you agreed to do yesterday, and today you're going to see if you can do some more, that's a great thing, even if you're still 1,000 miles away from your goal. This is the important principle that you have to practice again and again and again. And once you master it, that is how you will eventually get to success. It's by taking all these small steps again and again and again. Everybody wants to go to success fast. I want to go to success fast. But the reality is that's just not how it works. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes perseverance, it takes a lot of work. And it takes really staying consistent. And how do you stay consistent? You stay consistent by making these small baby steps and rewarding yourself along the way for those kind of things. It's you don't need to win your huge goal to reward yourself. If anything, by the time you reach that big goal and you complete it, most people will actually be there to support you at the end. So in fact, what you actually need is you need people supporting you along the way, but that doesn't happen. That doesn't exist most of the time. So you have to really step in and support yourself. And how do you do that? Okay, if I finish what I said I was going to do today, I'm going to give myself, an hour break, or I'm going to allow myself to go out with friends, or, or if I have a really good week and I make sure I finish everything each day for this week, I'm going to go celebrate by going out to eat. Like, you need to create these little small things. It's nothing big. You're not buying like a huge like present for yourself, nothing crazy, right? But these little things you can use to, in the middle of the week, look forward to it. And it's also going to help push you and just keep you motivated. And, it's a very long journey. So you need to take whatever you can get. And this is really, I think, the secret of how people break down those huge goals and actually achieve them. Because if you have such negative self-talk, if you're always comparing to the super successful people who started 5 years ago, you will never make it. You will never make it. So you have to make this into a more manageable situation where you're able to keep your motivation, keep your discipline, and just focus on one foot in front of the other, one step after one step, right? And eventually you'll reach the end of the mile-long race. If you guys have any questions, put them down below. If not, make sure you guys follow and subscribe for more.